production of cobalt per year, but DRC government does get almost nothing, with 1 million ton of production of copper at DRC every year, but the government does get almost nothing. Why? The financial weakness. We must create our own IMF. That's the only liberation of Africa. Write email, come join us. This is the last fight of faith to liberate totally Africa. When it comes to natural resources in Africa, almost all minerals have been transferred to the Western banks, to the Western companies, through bilateral and multilateral contracts, which are not easy to change partnership for years and years. And you cannot believe how much Africa gets out of it. It's almost a free transfer of wealth from Africa to the West, with at large the participation of World Bank and IMF. Africa has got 78% of the world reserve of diamond. It's gone through those contracts. Africa has got 89% of the world platinum reserve. The ones they use for cars is gone. Africa has got 81% of the world reserve of chrome, 61% of the world reserve of manganese. Africa owns 60% of the world reserve of cobalt. Is gone, my dear. Africa has got 80% of world reserve of cotton, 60% of world reserve of cobalt, 20% of world reserve of uranium. All these are future strategic minerals. Africa has got 10% of world reserve of oil, and they keep getting more and more discoveries on oil and gas. But all this is almost transferred through contract. Let's take some few examples, like DRC Congo, which is producing 19 million of carat of diamond every year, but is getting almost nothing, with production every year of 25,000 kilos of gold. But Congo DRC government get almost nothing, with 7,000 of ton of production per year of zinc. But DRC Congo government get almost nothing, with 100,000 of production of cobalt per year. But DRC government does get almost nothing, with 1 million ton of production of copper at DRC every year. But the government does get almost nothing. But this does not mean it's because there's corruption in Congo. No. Yes, internal corruption is participating, but at large, the participation of the Bretton Woods organization has insisted to government of Congo after the war to remove the dictator Mobutu in the year 2000, to the new government to put in hands some of these major minerals to the hands of the Western chosen company. And they say they are able to produce because they have money and technology, but you are not able to do that. Since 2000 until now, the government of Congo have never get anything, because these companies, the government Congo thought they will come with their own capital. Instead, they went and asked loans, these minerals of Congo, and they made them as a guarantee and give into the hands of the Western bank. These companies, now they came with loans, and they say we must pay these loans first and finish them, and now the government of Congo don't get anything, which now they can do nothing. They have to expect not to change partnership, because it has been back to IMF. It's IMF which has brought those people that now Congo minerals is gone. More than $15 billion go every year out of Congo, but Congo cannot even get $1 billion to participate in their national budget. Imagine, because of the lack of common African financial freedom. But on the time of President Mobutu, even if he was corrupt, he nationalized all these minerals. He managed to cover 70% of the national budget from the minerals production. But when the war came, then they could not get loans from IMF. Instead, IMF said we must wait for the new government. Then when the new government came, they said you must change the law in the minerals and transfer these minerals to the Western companies. This is not from me. This comes from the director of JCAMIN, Mr. Albert Yuma, who explained exactly how the Western companies have stolen all the minerals of Congo, and Congo can do nothing. And what IMF does, it promises you debt relief and push you to offer those minerals to the selected Western companies. Another example, according to the former Minister of Finance of Zambia, Edith Nawakwi, the year 2000, Zambian president, forced by IMF, transferred all the copper minerals to the hands of Glencore in exchange of $600 million. While the production of just 1 year, Glencore has produced $6 billion worth of copper. It has been true, corruption is true, but the pressure of IMF could not stand because of the weakness of the African financial freedom. And this is found almost to all African countries. We must create our own IMF. The whole story of Africa's financial independence is on this book called Africa, the Rising Economic Power. It was written by me. It is on Amazon. We did put the link below this video in English and French. Year 2006, Glencore has produced $3 billion worth of copper in Zambia, but gave $50 million only to the government of Zambia. This you cannot say is because Zambia is corrupt. Who is corrupt? It's just the system. We have to create our own system. If we have our own financial system, we are able to really stop this 90% of corruption which is done by IMF and these Western companies which are taking advantage of our common weaknesses, which means financial slavery. Another third example is for Niger. Niger has got the biggest reserve of uranium with Areva, the company of France, since the last 50 years is producing this uranium for almost nothing. 75% of electricity in France is produced by this uranium from Niger. But guess how much they give each year to Niger, which is 1 out of 10 of Niger people have got electricity. They give them 5% of income of the wealth of that uranium. And Niger will only get back his mineral. Maybe holes will be empty at the year 2043, my dear. So we have to create our own financial system which will replace IMF and World Bank. That's the key of this debate. Do not go away, please. God-given solution, it will follow after this. Please subscribe that this reach to many people. Register, be a member of this movement. We might liberate Africa. God is calling you all 54 African presidents. Please hear me, Excellency, to urgently meet at the African Union and create continental Pan-African taxes to each of 54 African countries to goods and services and everything that is exchanged in terms of money. You will be able to collect every 7 to 10 years almost $500 billion to $1 trillion. Is it this possible? Yes, it is possible indeed. Remember, Nigeria created what is called Mandela tax from 1970 to 1994. That Mandela tax was to liberate Southern Africa against apartheid. Everyone who was working in the government, they did collect 2% on their salaries, and they managed to collect within those 2 decades almost $61 billion. While that moment, Nigerian GDP on 1990s was only $54 billion. But now it is almost $600 billion. If they manage on that moment to collect $61 billion alone, what about 54 countries now? We are logically able to collect $500 billion every 7 to 10 years. You should also know that throughout history, Europe taxed 3 times in average everything more than Africa. So, as European taxpayers for centuries suffer to conquer Africa, it is time for African taxpayers to suffer and liberate and build Africa. The private sector will be the one in collecting those taxes to avoid corruption. By creating that Mandela tax, Nigeria did not ask advice to England, did not ask advice to the United States of America, did not ask advice to IMF or World Bank, did himself create that Mandela tax to help our brothers years to be free from apartheid, and they've been successful. African people have for centuries built other continents. Through continental taxes, will be given the opportunity to build their continent, and we are ready to do so. What I know, I have sleepless years since September 2019 until now. The Lord calling me to tell you leaders, please, excellencies, hear me. I don't know why it's urgent. Do not take this decision separately. Meet all together. Create continental taxes. You will be able to liberate us financially. And the Lord is insisting, build 2 continental infrastructures which are under Agenda 2063. Integrated high-speed railway which will connect all 54 capital cities, and the Grand Inga Dam which is capable to electrify all capital cities. And once it's done, you will continue to collect those taxes, adding to the shares of those infrastructures. You will be able to feed African Development Bank to almost $1 trillion of capital, and it will become the IMF of Africa, it will become the World Bank of Africa, it will become the ISBN of Africa, it will become the Exim Bank of Africa. With the 7 years collecting those continental taxes, we'll be able to build those 2 continental infrastructures. With the other 7 years, we'll be able to build our own IMF and World Bank and create our own conditionalities and policies. Then it is on that stage that we'll be able to establish our central bank with our own common currency, which is Afro. We will ask all countries in Africa that are rich in reserve of gold to bring gold as their shares on the common central bank. I have enough reserve asset for this currency. It is from there that we feed enough fund to our people. You should know that the difference between African people and European people is just because European people have got enough fund, enough money on the street. The whole process of African financial liberation, how and where and which sectors to collect this $1 trillion and how to go about it efficiently is written on this book. I'm the author. The title of the book is Africa, the Rising Economic Power. It is not my book. It's a God-given plan. It is available on Amazon in English and French. And if you want to get it, the link is below this video. You will know much more in detail. A call to all African people. A call to all Pan-Africanists. A call to especially African diaspora worldwide. We are calling you to join our movement, which is in South Africa. It is composed by few African diaspora. We are calling you without discrimination to join us, to go to every single African Union General Assembly at the door and to impose this process to happen. No money will be asked from you. You will buy your own ticket by yourself. You will book your own hotel. All what is needed is your physical presence, that we might help our president. On this generation, we have good presidents, but they are in jail. We don't help them as Pan-Africanists, as activists. We have to help them to help us. They are ready to act. We just gonna insist the total financial liberation of Africa. African population is about to double. If we don't liberate ourselves financially, we just gonna eat each other. I'm sorry about this strong word, but if we manage and create our own World Bank, God is saying, go into your people. It's the same money. You will be free financially. He will support you. God is saying He's the one who protected you from slavery, using William Wilberforce to fight against slavery. Otherwise, brothers and sisters, oh my goodness, you could be slave as you speak now, but He helped you. He's saving you from sicknesses. He's now want to take you to become the first economic power of the world for 200 years ahead. It is possible. Even China did not know that is coming. Why is it possible? It's because African GDP of most of the African countries have grown since 1990 until now tenfold, but Europe GDPs has grown threefold.